Hello and welcome to 80s Nostalgia. This video is about the late 80s to mid-90s comedy, A Different World. The original Season 1 premise was to have a white student there and have Lena Horne as an acting teacher, but during production, the premise changed from being a story about a white girl in a black college to a black girl in a black college with a white friend. It was ultimately decided that Denise Huxtable, who was of college age from The Cosby Show, would be spun off, and she would have a white roommate in order to show the dynamic of a white girl in predominantly black surroundings. Meg Ryan was originally cast for this role, but she decided to pursue a film career, so Marisa Tomei was cast. Phoebe Snow sang the theme song for the first season. The main cast of characters in the show's first season included Denise Huxtable, played by Lisa Bonet. Denise enrolled in Hillman, where she was roommates with Maggie Lauten and Jaleesa Vinson. Maggie Lauten played by Marisa Tomei. A military brat, Maggie was one of the few white students at and was originally supposed to be the center of the show, but was out of the show after Season 1, along with Denise. After the first season, it came to Cosby's and the producers' attention that the series was not accurately portraying a historically black college and life on campus, so Debbie Allen, an alumna of Howard University, was hired as the chief creative force to revamp the show. During the summer of 1988, Lisa Bonet announced that she and husband Lenny Kravitz were having a baby. Allen was in favor of having a young pregnant student in the show, but Cosby said that Lisa Bonet may be pregnant but not Denise Huxtable. It was felt that viewers would not accept Denise as an unwed mother, having grown to know her as a good girl after 4 seasons of The Cosby Show. Whitley Gilbert, played by Jasmine Guy, was one of the 2 cast members who won the show for all 6 seasons. Jaleesa Vinson was played by Dawnn Lewis, who was on the show as one of the core characters, and roommates of Maggie and Denise. Jaleesa was on the show all but the last season. Dwayne Wayne, played by Kadeem Hardison mentioned before, was the other cast member there for all 6 seasons. The mathematical genius turned Whitley's man and professor at Hillman. Lou Myers as the PitStop Cafeteria's owner, Vernon Gaines. Darryl Bell as Ron Johnson. Sinbad, the dorm director and mentor, Walter Oakes. Charnel Brown replaced Marisa Tomei as the biology major, Kimberly Reese. Cree Summer was promoted in Season 2 as well, the law major activist, and Glynn Turman was Colonel Bradford Taylor, who eventually dated Jaleesa in Season 5 and married her. A Different World was a spin-off of the 80s classic Thursday show, The Cosby Show, then ran from 1987 to 1993. While it was a spin-off from The Cosby Show, A Different World typically addressed issues that were avoided by The Cosby Show writers. These were race and class relations, or the Equal Rights Amendment. Kadeem Hardison's favorite episode, called Cats in the Cradle, dealt with racial turmoil, and an episode that aired in 1990 was one of the first American network TV episodes to address the HIV/AIDS epidemic. There were also episodes addressing rape and domestic abuse. When Season 6 began, the opening theme was changed from Aretha Franklin to Boys to Men. Jasmine Guy said this was done to reflect the change of music of the day. There was also another noticeable change. Ajai Sanders, who played Gina DeVoe, Jada Pickett, who played Lena James, and Karen Malina White, who played Charmaine Brown, were all added to the cast, replacing Dawnn Lewis. Oddly, her new husband, Colonel Taylor, was still on the show. Whitley began the series with a snobby, prissy attitude which caused her to be disliked by many of the characters, mainly to counteract Denise's character. After Denise's character left the show after the first season, A Different World was retooled to feature her as the lead character, and her attitude had mellowed out, also to form romantic relations to Dwayne Wayne, played by Kadeem Hardison. Like Whitley was first shown as snobby with Denise around, Dwayne was shown as the crush-love-starved, nerdy guy chasing Denise. But once Lisa Bonet left the show, Whitley and Dwayne both got cooler and formed relations.
Job together, and we've learned how to deal with different things together, so we're like the new kid.
Don't say that. We do our own lyrics.
Yes.
We do our own lyrics. They're gonna probably need somebody funny. And I heard they were looking for a comic to warm up the audience for the show. They used the studio comics. And I went in and lied. I was like, I worked with, I said all the shows I worked with, but then I got so good, I forgot Magnum P.I. was taped in Hawaii, and I said I also warmed up that audience.
I did the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
In its first season. And they remembered me and they said, we're gonna give you another job, we're gonna give you another job, but you're too old for Theo and too young for Denise.
I know who I am, and I came from Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit.
Ron Johnson was Dwayne's best friend, played by Darryl Bell, and was in Kadeem's favorite episode with him, The Cats in the Cradle, which was a great episode about racial perspective. The funny part is the difference in stories they give the policemen in jail. About the Hillman versus Virginia A&M game. Ron made a bet against some white students from A&M, and then after the Hillman win, gets into a fight with them when they begin to spray paint his car with a racial slur. But Kadeem's favorite part is the message it gives from his acting in it.
Get over on anybody, right? Anywhere. No, not me and not today.
Who are you? That's just it. He's nobody.
No, I am an educated black man. Your worst nightmare, punk.
Having an audience was lightning in a bottle, and it was at a time where the audience was necessary.
Especially the sounds of ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just the laughs, but sighs.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite episode, Cats in the Cradle. I got a chance to yell and be angry.
My grandfather was born here, Duke. And you people still look at me as just another
and just say a lot of things that I've never heard said on television.
Nice day.
You know, I'm about ready to slap that stupid smile off your face.
I wore all my old clothes.
Wow.
That Brooklyn jacket, that hoodie with the point.
So there was more Kadeem in that episode as Dwayne.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, especially when I came in swinging. It was important to let America hear us talking.
Many don't know it, but Dawnn Lewis actually wrote the theme song for the show. Though Phoebe Snow sang it first, then of course Aretha Franklin from seasons 2 through 5. A funny note is, the writers and directors didn't know that the actor and songwriter was the same person either.
See, he called me out of the blue. He had one of my demo tapes and said, would you be willing to work with me on this theme song? I need it Friday. This was Wednesday. Right. Oh, the same hour that he called me, the casting directors, I was doing a Broadway tour for them, said, are you still interested in auditioning? Can you come in tomorrow, Thursday, and audition? Within less than 10 days, I had written the theme song and booked the co-star spot on the series, and they had no idea they'd hired the same person.
A Different World had many celebrity guests through its seasons, and as mentioned before, they covered special topics that The Cosby Show didn't get into. It was the first show to ever discuss the HIV epidemic this episode, called If I Die Before I Wake, featured Whoopi Goldberg and Tisha Campbell. It called attention to the AIDS epidemic, some of the confusions about it, and how people discriminated against those with AIDS. Tisha Campbell played a student who was HIV positive.
Now, Josie has immune deficiency syndrome. Now, that means that you're more dangerous to her, standing here breathing your germs on her than she could ever be to you.
Thank you.
Another celebrity guest was in season 6, being the one and only Tupac Shakur, who went to high school with cast member Jada Pickett in Baltimore School for the Arts. Tupac played Lena James' old school friend on the show, named Piccolo, which was basically what they really were. He came onto the show and played a threat to Lena's boyfriend, Dorian.
Piccolo.
L to the J. What's happening, baby?
First of all, I was hanging out with Tupac because he was good friends with Jay.
There were other topics covered and characters saving each other in the episodes. The date rape episode was an iconic one for the show. This was called No Means No, when Freddie goes on a date and is taken advantage of. But Dwayne shows up and saves Freddie. This episode helps to show that it is okay to speak up and for friends to help friends. And as the title of the episode says, no means no. Walter has words for Timok, and Dwayne had more for him.
You know the game they run. They want to do it, but they need a little help giving it up.
What did you just say?
You know how they are. They're trained to say no. It's our job to let them off the hook. Yeah.
Where'd you get those scratches?
Freddie, I told you. She puts on this great innocent act. Man, when she gets going, she's an alley cat.
Oh, man.
I'm never going out with her again.
Oh, you got that right. You might not be going out for a long time.
Another episode that was big for society at the time was the Love Taps episode, bringing out domestic abuse. When Gina's boyfriend was physically abusing her, Lena and her friends looked out for Gina, and in the end, she pressed charges on him.
Wait and talk.
No. It's okay, Lena.
What A Different World also did for viewers and society was help motivate more students to go to college and enroll into the HBCUs. The show's popularity completely coincided with a boost of interest in HBCUs, and its cast has ever since toured campuses to celebrate the show. Many fans even thought that Hillman was a real university. There's been a recorded increase of 26% HBCU enrollment from 1976 to 1994, and all of that came between 1986 to 1994, A Different World airing in 1987. So only about 1% of the increase was before A Different World was on the air.
You mean deliver our own eulogies?
So bright, so fast, so black. Yes.
So Hillman University can arguably be marked as the most influential fictional universities of all time, in turn making A Different World one of the most influential sitcoms of all time. For the topics that it covered and the cultural influence of A Different World, the college show that was one of a kind, a spin-off show that was a very successful one. Not many spin-offs last this many seasons, especially after making such a drastic change after the first season. During the first season, it became obvious that Lisa Bonet couldn't carry the show, and that the real star of the show was Jasmine Guy, whose character of Whitley Gilbert will always be remembered. Kadeem Hardison was also one of the anchors of the show, being the other to be on all episodes. Also, even though the show was set in a college, you never saw the kids actually attending class in the first season. All this changed after Debbie Allen came in, and during the second season, there were less scenes of Marisa Tomei and Denise Huxtable not attending classes, and more scenes of Freddie Brooks and Kimberly Reese attending classes. But perhaps the biggest change was that the show became more issue-oriented. Issues like racism, date rape, AIDS, and domestic violence were all covered in this show and helped to make it more than a Cosby Show spin-off. These issues and diverse characters made A Different World its own show, one never to be forgotten. Thank you again. Please like and subscribe for future 80s nostalgia videos.